them, but we don't use an inflatable. It's a steel frame, only because the inflatable is always full of noise. So this is a way easier, smoother process for us. And then we need a few small pieces of equipment, but we normally bring that ourselves. And we can talk about the technical details, but I still think coming
Paul,
to
we'll
see it first.
Paul, we'll put you in touch with Crystal. She runs the hall, and we'll do the logistics things there. But definitely, and we'll figure out a time in May for us.
Totally needed. We could rent the Civic Center. Right, have it
We'll find it, and we'll try and get it to you by at least next week for May.
Sure.
This way, if we bring a delegation up to Lheidli, they see it, they're going to come back and they're going to talk about it, right? And it's going to spread like wildfire, so they're very quick as we can.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cheryl, do you have something to add to that?
Well, just that is my hope, really. Like, right, is to just really try to impact as many of our youth as we can. So I think that if Lheidli was to also do this, would be fabulous. The more outreach we can do to is the better to address these crises that our youth are currently facing.
Perfect.
And just so you know, for Lheidli, one of the things that we've decided, just FYI, is for our elders also to experience this. What it does is it explains the brain. It teaches about the brain. It's lifelong learning. It's from conception to adulthood. And then it talks about all forms of addiction, not just opioids. It talks about sugar, screen time, all the different things and the effects on the brain. And so we're going to create a session for our elders. I think that that's something that they would find fascinating to learn about themselves at this stage of their life. And the other target group that for myself is when I look at overdoses and I look at drug use, we're wanting to target the youth so that they don't go down that road. But what we're seeing is the 20 to 30-year-olds in our community are the ones that are really struggling with these issues. So we're really wanting also to create a space during the time that this dome is in Lheidli to also create a space, like not during the school time. Obviously, those will be our youth, but creating a space for those young adults to also have this experience.
Nice. We got 4 more minutes.
So the one thing I would just want to say was that we can absolutely, have the dome come right away in May and work through or look at a closer date. But there's also time if you need to do it in the fall, especially if you wanted to connect it with schools. The big thing with the schools, we're working with District 91 right now to figure out how we bring all the students to the dome. And so logistically, we'll actually probably have a pretty good handle on that because we will have experienced it. But as far as the schools that are around you, are there a lot of schools?
Yeah, 39.
There are 39 in the district.
Okay. So I would say,
I think the schools will jump at it because May, they're getting itchy and summer's almost around the corner trying to find things to do with kids. So
yeah, when does your school finish?
June. End of June.
End of June. Okay. And then the other thing would be, so as far as time on the ground there, so it can be a week or 2 weeks. 2 weeks is obviously, you can do a lot more with 2 weeks. It gives you a lot more space and time. And that's what Lheidli and Stella decided to do because they wanted to program it outside of the school and the brain experience. So that's another consideration as well. It's just 1 week or 2 weeks. And we can send you that information, like the budget for 1 or 2 and all of those pieces. But just so you know, that's the other option. The other thing is just getting connected with the school districts can be, it takes time. But again, we will. I don't know.
There's 3 of them here, and they just had a meeting.
Yeah, we got a committee with the school district. We talked to them.
Okay, awesome. Okay.
And just so you know, we've also been in conversation with First Nations Health.
Oh, nice.
Oh, perfect. Nice.
Met with them yesterday.
And the other thing is that there's going to be someone, so we're doing a land acknowledgement video. We had one in the Yukon, and we can send you the one that was in the Yukon, but the person who did the video, DJ, is going to be in the next few, so we're just figuring out were to want to do something yourselves, that might be another opportunity to bring him, because he'd be flying in through Prince George.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So Kelly, if you could send them that land acknowledgement, and that would be awesome too, so they can take a look at that. So they did that at the beginning in the dome. That's the welcome into the space.
Mm-hmm.
So it was done for Yukon. So we're doing one for Notley Stella territory, where we'll have our own elders doing the welcome, the traditional welcome, with our own landscape involved with that traditional welcoming that welcomes everybody into the dome. So we are bringing the person in from Whitehorse that did that work, just because they're familiar with how that works within the dome, rather than trying to contract out another person to come and do that videoing. It made sense to go with somebody that had already done that in Whitehorse as part of this project for them up there.
Perfect. Thank you. Unfortunately, our time is up. I know we could ask a lot more questions, but if you send on, Brenda sent out the information, so we have the contacts, and we'll get in touch with Crystal so we can talk about logistics and the White School District. So
sounds great.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Very nice meeting you all.
Thank
you.
you.
To
meet you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Next presentation we have is Sea and Rail.
Yeah, Bobby, I will let them in.
Sure.
They say 24 feet high.
Yeah.
4 feet wide.
40 by 40 by 24, I think, or something.
24 and a half. 24 and a half. Well, that makes a big difference. You need 25 foot.
I know. I just want to argue with you, but I won't.
No.
For some reason, I think it's 20 feet high.
Right.
But I'll
Oh.
make sure.
They're all down there.
That's very good.
Well, I'll just shake everybody's hand on here. I did wash them.
I'm good. Oh, I'm Clay.
Good to see you.
Yes, you did. I'm well. Good to see you. Okay, well, since he's shaking hands with everybody.
Lheidli,
See
the guy about the most. Nice to meet you, Topic.
Dominic, hello. Before you eat your sandwich, sir. And Tafik.
Hi, Shahid.
No, Shahid.
Yeah.
Tafik is there.
I'll see you. See you.
What do you mean?
People, can you hear me?
Hey.
Good seeing you. Doug.
I'm sorry. We've met before, but
Yeah.
Where's the hot seat?
Wherever you want down here.
I'll trade you places.
Have we got? Did Jerry thought he was going to?
Yeah, they are in the lobby.
Very good. Okay.
Morning or good afternoon. Welcome. And just a little heads up, if you hear this, means your time is up. So we got you till 1:10. You have the table?
Get you one of those little music machines. Just comes on and it gets loud.
I believe. Do I go ahead then? And
Yes. Yeah. You have the table.
First, I want to thank you so much for letting us come over and in your territory. I think we met you, Chief, as well as most of the bird, and allowing us to be able to present this. It's really awesome. But we've been running around trying to get people, and I think now we have all the material that we need. Now we can move forward. So I have this time exactly about 30 minutes. They're a little over. The first thing I want to do is introduce the team, and then we can tell just a brief background of who we are. I'm Dean from West Warwick First Nation, and I'm an elder. I'm also an educator for the colleges, and I've been working for the nation, both leadership and my nation and administration. but I worked in all through Alberta, 36, 37, 38, Yakima, and 10 nations in Vancouver in my career, as well as these 17 nations to Big Nana on the Arrow project. So my history of working has been for the nations and solely for the nations. One corporation I worked for a very small time, and that was it. So I'll introduce everyone. Well, you know Julie. Where's Peter? Well, there's Jerry. Jerry's from Columbia Rail.
And
Hi, everybody.
So just a brief background about who you are.
Oh, okay. Hello, everyone. My name is Jerry Bisson. I am with Columbia Rail, which is a short line in the Pacific Northwest of the U.S. My background, I am an engineer, born, raised, educated in Canada. I was there for the start of my career in the mining industry for a number of years. Moved to the States and went into railroading. And I've been into railroading one way or shape or form for the last 27 years. So nice to meet you. Thank you for your time today.
Paul? Paul? Yeah.
Yes. Hi, I'm Paul DeDelius, and I live in Idaho, and I founded Columbia Rail about 20 years ago, and so I'm the owner and president, and we have 300 miles in the Northwest states that we operate, maintain, and redevelop freight for the communities we serve, and interested to take a look at opportunities in British Columbia as well.
Okay. Is Peter on? Peter, are you there? He's in the waiting room?
No, Peter?
No, Peter?
No.
Can you
Maybe.
call him?
Well, he says he's in the waiting room, or I'll call him, sure.
Yeah, call him first. Okay, I'll start with need Peter for the next presentation. Before what we don't represent, we're connected with BC. We're not connected with the CN. The railway we're going to talk about is a very short line. That's goes from.
He said Jerry just sent him the link again.
Okay, from Exeter to Belfast. But why we're doing this is because it's very important that we have a short deadline to be able to get to it, and Peter will explain that. But the other thing, we're not asking for money. We're asking for one thing, a letter of interest, if you're interested. The whole idea is to try and get the railway for the nations that won't enter. The deadline of this is the fact that we only have till July before it goes into salvage, probably to CN, because the lease is up in
July 11th.
July 11th. From CN, it'll go back to BC Rail, and then after that, for time, it'll probably go back to CN as per dollar for salvage. But that rail is important to, we believe, to the nations as well as the municipalities. So the partnership between municipalities and nations is what we're thinking about. But again, the nations should lead in this process. We're just bringing it up to you to meet that deadline. And so that there's time to be able to look at what is and what kind of businesses will be attracted to it with the nation's ownership, co-ownership. That's the concept.
I think it would be if there's a map or something for myself.
We're going through all that.
Okay.
I'll be quiet. And Peter, where's Peter?
Still don't see him on yet.
I'll just talk briefly because you had.
Yes, I have you next. For
do you have me after Peter? I can go before.
No,
okay.
before. Yeah.
So
how the project started.
Yeah, how the project started. So in October, I went to Penwar, Pacific Northwest Economic Region, Economic Development and Rail Summit in Portland, Oregon. Because I got on council because of I was concerned about economic development in our region and just always concerned about the boom and busts and the fact that in the north we don't have a lot of services and most of our wealth goes south. And so that's what brought me there. And I was on a panel with Peter Schultz, who you'll hear from, and he's a rail expert. He's a rail planner. And he mentioned after the panel that CN has applied for the discontinuance of the rail and that the deadline for that for other interested parties to make their voice heard was July 11th. And so it was like, oh my goodness, like this, we have to, to me, this is bizarre that we are in a world where we are considering allowing someone to tear up railway. And so I learned from Peter that this is happening, has happened so many times across, like we are like across, especially in the Western Canada. It's just utterly bizarre. But I mean, also equally sort of weird is that we don't even really know what short haul rail is. And so at Penware in October there, Peter told me that he was looking around for an operator that could be there because it was an economic development and rail summit. So he was looking around to operate something like this because it's a very unique business. It's completely different than what CN does. So their business model is totally different. And because, I mean, we don't even have, like, I don't think we even have anybody here in Canada that does that anymore. And so we found out over the last few months is that we're actually trying to reinvent something in a way, like with that idea, with that thinking about how we can use short haul rail to revitalize and to support and grow our economies, because it's something that will serve the needs of the small and medium-sized businesses, because CN's business model is the massive amount of traffic that, you know, whereas for most shippers, like small and medium-sized businesses, they can't fill however many CN's minimum is. So it's no, like, we're not dissing CN, it's just their business model is very different. And so initially I was thinking, okay, well, the first thing I need to do is reach out to the First Nations along the line. I didn't get anywhere. And then through talking with Peter, we thought, okay, we'll start with talking, because there was someone also from Squamish or the MLA in that area. He was doing a roundtable, and then there was a roundtable discussion with people from First Nations and municipalities there, but they didn't have the sense of urgency that I thought, and maybe it's just because I'm impatient, but it's like, we need to get on this faster. And so that's how we got to NDIT, getting them involved, and they said we will directly contract with Peter to do the technical work on this project. And then Peter hired Dean, and now we're working together.
Oh, Peter's
fault.
Good afternoon, and the Dean is working for me. He tells me what to do most of the time, just for the record. Okay, sorry, I had some trouble getting into the meeting. I know I've got a 10-minute time slot. I'll talk the rail network stuff in the next 8 to 10 minutes, and I'll just share a screen here. Slideshow beginning. Okay, so as Trudy's mentioned, this project was instigated by several mayors in the Cariboo region who were in a position where they could act quickly, because as early as July 2026, there's a possibility of BC Rail Properties being able to sell the fixed assets between Exeter and Brackendale to CN for demolition. And our experience in the rest of the country is, once rails are torn up, it's very, very difficult to get them built in again. Construction costs have gone up, and it's just very difficult. So the mayor's asked Northern Development Initiative Trust to fund this project. This project is viewed as phase 1, and it's hoped and anticipated that phase 2 will be led more by the First Nations. So I'll go through what I think is pertinent today. Talking about a little bit where we are. On this map, what's called Western Canada 1.0 is basically 2 major rail lines. One is the Canadian National, running between Winnipeg and Prince Rupert, and there's Canadian Pacific running between Winnipeg and Vancouver. And then there's 4 major connectors. There's between Regina and Saskatoon, Calgary and Edmonton, Tête Jaune and Vancouver, and then the one we're talking about today is Prince George to Vancouver. The This map is a more detailed version of what you just saw, or is a fully detailed. Red means there's a railway in operation, and white means there's a railway that has been removed. What this map does is it tells a story of an economic shift that occurred in the 1990s and early 2000s. Before then, it made sense for the two major railways to own a lot of spur lines because there was a lot of manufacturing and industry in Canada and a lot of resource developers, et cetera, scattered in various locations. So there's a lot of transit between point H and point V and point, it's not all point A to point B. There's a lot of traffic between and amongst Canada. And with the deindustrialization that occurred, the Class 1 railways found that their business overwhelmingly shifted to port to port or port to inland port. I tell a little story that, an example that, I'll just go over it quickly because it helps to visualize what happened. Between Windsor and Toronto, there's about 15 million people. There's about one fridge per person average, so there's about 15 million fridges out in Eastern Canada, and about 10% of those fridges get worn out every year and they have to be replaced. And nobody makes fridges anymore in North America. So all those fridges are coming in from China and Korea, and they're all coming in through Prince Rupert and Vancouver. So imagine a situation where a giant Maersk ship is coming in from Shanghai and it's filled with fridges, and somebody in Shanghai calls somebody in Montreal and says, I've got 5,000 containers filled with fridges to go to the Port of Toronto for distribution to the local cities, and I need you to have 500 rail cars or 1,000 rail cars in Vancouver in 2 weeks. So then the CNHQ guy is scrambling around trying to get 2,000 rail cars for all those containers to Vancouver, and while he's doing that, he gets a phone call from Prince George, and it's from, you name it, a cattle rancher or a log home builder, or someone who supports the mining industry with a certain type of chemical, and says, I just got a new contract. I need 10 cars in 2 months at my factory or my place of business. Can you come? And they're gonna nod and say, yeah, okay, no problem. But that's 10 cars versus 2,000. It just gets lost. So what's happened in the last 20 years is that partly due to unreliable services, there's less traffic because the SMEs are forced to move towards the nodes, or they're forced to switch to trucking, which is more expensive. And then the Class 1, the big railways say, well, these short lines don't make money anymore, so we're going to shut them down. And that's what the white lines are. And what happened very often in Saskatchewan is the government would say, you can shut down the railway, but you can't tear up the line. And in Alberta, they said the opposite. And what you're seeing in Saskatchewan, if you look at the map, you'll see a lot of red lines start up right at the Alberta border. And that's because local producers got the railway were shut down to get our product. They reactivated the railway in the short haul, and hence the rise of the short haul railway system. And unfortunately, one white line is up here near Bonnyville is Meadow Lake Tribal Council. They bought a huge sawmill up here, and their profits are severely limited because the railway here was not only shut down, but it was scrapped. So we're just trying to we're trying to bypass all those steps and just go, okay, the Class 1, which is CN, has said that they don't have a business case for Exeter to Brackendale, and there's limited traffic from Quesnel all the way down to North Vancouver. Let's just get a short haul involved right now and just jump the queue and switch over. And that creates an opportunity for all the First Nations on the line because we're switching business models. And that's why we're here today. I'm going to bypass this due to lack of time. But we're not, I'll focus on this item here, First Nations letter of interest. We're not looking at an actual corporate model. We're just looking at saying we're trying to explain to First Nations that the municipalities kicked off this project in order to give time with the intent that First Nations will take a leadership role in a future phase. At this stage, we're just looking at a letter of interest, which is interest to look at the opportunity more closely and consider possible modes for Indigenous co-ownership or co-governance. And that's where they are. I've already gone over these points. I think we're going to be talking about that more today, or Dean's going to talk about that slide. So I will stop there, hopefully a minute or two early. Guys, do you feel that I covered what needed to be covered?
I think so, yeah. If there are any questions, I'll give us number of questions. We're going to Jerry right away, and if there's a question, we can deal with it then, okay? Jerry, you got 10 minutes or less.
10 minutes or less.
Sorry.
Okay.
Well, you will be short.
All right. Thank you very much. I'd like to share just a quick slide deck, and I'm going to move really quickly, but we'll leave the slide deck with you, and feel free to reach back out and ask any questions or clarifications. So let's see. So we've kind of formulated a problem statement here, and why are we here? And Peter already touched on that, as did Trudy and Dean, but we wanted to talk about this rail segment from Squamish to Lillooet, or Brackendale to Exeter. It's really the same kind of line segment. CN published a 3-year plan, as they're required to do under the regulatory oversight, on July 11th of last year, which essentially gives them 12 months of notification before they can officially begin abandonment proceedings and take the next steps that are involved. Under the Transportation Act, there's really 4 major steps in abandoning a rail line. Step 1 is the publishing its intent, so they did that last year. Then the line has to be advertised for continued operations with interested parties, and that's kind of the part where we're raising our hand and saying, hey, we're interested, and talking to people, including municipalities and First Nations along the route, to see if there's some interest in figuring out what a solution might look like. We don't know what the solution looks like right now, but we think by raising our hand and indicating that there are people that are interested in saving this line, that this will at least delay the abandonment and the scrap process. There is an option later on in July that if there are no interested parties, that BC Rail or the government of BC can sell it to CN for $1, and then it does become their asset, and they would likely scrap it and pull up the rail and the ties. So again, our goal here is to organize an option to take over the line and operations with whoever may be interested. So the timeline here, July 11th last year is when they issued it. There's been a lot of kind of public articles that are out in the news. We've kind of listed them all. We're sitting here in February right now. So from February until July, this is our effort here to organize and make people aware that there are interested parties in this line. So we shared a map earlier, but this is the section of line essentially from Exeter to Brackendale or Squamish to 100 Mile House. This line continues on up to Prince George, and then north of Prince George into Fort St. John and to Fort Nelson as well. We've had some conversations with municipalities north of Prince George, and it sounds like there might be an opportunity down the road to maybe even connect this line up with a short line operator. Zooming it in, it's about 214 miles of track from Brackendale to Exeter, a number of communities along the way, and also a number of First Nations along the way. So one solution, like we mentioned, is teaming up with Short Line Railroad to potentially take on the operations of the line. Which brings me to my next point. Not everybody kind of knows or sees the differences between what we call Class 1 railroads and the short line railroads. So I thought I'd put a slide together real quick and kind of high level the differences, because there's a huge difference. Class 1 railroads, that's who you're most likely familiar with, the CN or the CPs of the world. In the States, there's a number of them, UP, BNSF, NS, and CSX, to name a few. But their focus is really about high volume, long distance lanes, and they're interested in big, heavy, long trains, and they're less interested in working the little infrastructures or little industries along the way. And that's where short line railroads really different. There's really a Class 2 and a Class 3 railroad. The differences there are the size based on revenue. Class 2s are from 47 million to $1 billion. There's about 20 of them in North America. But the Class 3s are the short lines, and this is the group that we're in. And the average revenue of a Class 3 is between 8 and 10 million of those 580 companies. But our focus is on service, and we service specific markets and geographic areas. We tend to have lower operating costs than a big Class 1 does. And we focus mostly on personalized service for small customers and medium businesses and farms. So we're the railroad that likes to give white glove service to help industries grow, to help communities prosper, to provide transportation solutions to communities along the route. And that's something that we pride ourselves in. We've been very successful in Washington State in taking over lines that Class 1s would otherwise abandon or let fall into disrepair. And we've been able to reinvigorate them, attract some industries to them. And we've also got a lot of experience working with municipalities and agencies along the way. So we have a pretty good file of references that we're happy to provide. Moreover, don't take it from me or from Paul. We invite all of you to come and meet with some of our customers or meet with some of our ports that we work with, and we'll let them tell you how we've been able to help them and help them grow. And I think that's a wonderful success story where it shows that we're really geared towards keeping rails in service, providing effective and efficient transportation options, as well as environmentally sound options, 7 to 8 times more efficient than truck.
Jerry,
Yes.
there's a question or two?
No, I don't actually have a question. I'm pretty sure council's interested in this, and we definitely provide a letter of support for the next step. And everyone at this table seen that BC will sell it to BCCN for $1. Okay, if this is running through First Nations territories, we want them to give it to us.
It is.
Right?
100%.
So
How many First Nations are along the route?
24, they're working with it, could be up to 30. We're trying to get in tribal councils. We really need a hand with that because it's a broader base and we can get to more people. But we were prepared to meet with every nation. We want to be busy. There's nothing vested in us at all. We get the funding comes from Northern Development Initiative Trust, and it just stimulates the economy. That's what it's for. Mm-hmm. All of the work I've done in all the years, and so Peter and I have known each other for a long time. He's worked for government, he quit the government, and he's doing these kind of things for the benefit of the nations. And I think it's a passion I have. My discipline is political science, but I didn't do it for politics. I did it to build, and that's what I do now. And we're on the same way of thinking. It's for the nations.
Well, yeah, I like Trudy said earlier, I can think of a handful of small businesses that would benefit from this.
Yep.
Yeah.
Brenda?
Thank you. Just a comment and a question. Comment not to anyone here, but just that First Nations are being engaged so late, it seems like.
Well, that's built by design.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So just
This.
not saying anything anyone doesn't already know. And then just a question like the Exeter to Brackendale that was highlighted in red. Is that the chunk that that's going to possibly be let go?
That's what we're trying to save. Yeah.
Yeah. But does the whole rail line actually pass through Lheidli territory?
That's the only rail line through there.
Okay.
Oh, no, here? No, it's from Prince George. But if that goes out,
That one, that one connects up here.
Except
if that goes out,
the other one.
Okay.
the economic part is gone. Because once they rip it out, that's it. It's done.
Mm-hmm.
They won't be.
It's not making enough money for them.
And so your question is, how does that impact us here? And I would say, I mean, maybe Peter or maybe Jerry, or does someone?
Jerry? Yeah, you answer that question.
So, sure, absolutely. So I put up the map here from Prince George all the way down. So you see this line through Williams Lake, 200 Mile House. CN has not provided notice that that would be discontinued yet. We think that that's part of their future strategy, but as well, by having this line, it gives a preferred route from Prince George area and this community to move goods down this line into Vancouver, into the ports, potentially for export. Without this line, they have to go the long way around via CN, and you're captive to CN.
There's two things we have to add in there too. What CN did is that if you pull up the 3-year plan. So this is their 3-year plan. And so this is their way of notifying.
Right.
Yeah.
Seriously. I was asking Jerry, is that legally the law? For them it is. So other nations were questioning, well, you're telling us? Well, no, but we have to go back and fix that.
We're not from the government.
We're not from the government. For the railway. We're just out there for the people. It's really how I see it. And it's what I've done for a lot of years. We've done for a lot of years. And there's another point that there's a section that the other routes, which is on the other
in the Fraser
where you put that up.
This one?
5 minutes. The one with
it's Peter's.
Peter. Peter, can you share your screen on the slide area and
for
fault?
sure.
The Fraser River Canyon?
Yes.
Yeah. Just 1 second. Finding the right button to push.
So what we found out what happened this winter is that because the roads were closed, because all 3 roads were closed because of the snow.
Yeah.
Little West landlocked.
Yeah. So what you're looking at is a satellite image of 20 kilometers south of Lytton, British Columbia. The green marks the Canadian Pacific owned track, and the other track is owned by CN. These are their 2 primary lines. These 2 lines are the arterial for the Port of Vancouver. Now, if you give me 1 stick of dynamite and I am so inclined, right at that X, you will shut down all rail access to the Port of Vancouver, or most for a week. And if you give me 2 sticks of dynamite, or there's tensions with China and they decide that they don't like access to the Port of Vancouver, they're not going to fire a missile into a suburb of Langley. They're going to fire 1 missile at that bridge and another missile at that bridge, and that will shut down most of the rail access to the Port of Vancouver for a year or 2. And if you look at the network, the only other Canadian way to get into Vancouver is the one we're talking about. This slide was set up because I think that we should also build a connection between Ashcroft and Clinton, but that's outside the scope of what we're talking about right now. If there is a major event here at Lytton, at least there's still an option that trains coming in through the CN system can go up to Prince George and then down, or if CP is cut off, CP would either use the Union Pacific through Seattle to come up, or CP would have to share track with CN also to come down. So there's a major redundancy issue that I feel is not adequately respected inside the senior government offices. While I've got the comm, I'll just mention, just so people, if there's any questions about process, is I did approach over 24 short-line railways in Western Canada and Northwestern United States. I have spoken directly with 4, and I'm open to working with all of them. But Columbia Rail is here, right? They're preparing materials. They're definitely showing the most interest. So I'm not saying that's like there's like something, any kind of backroom dealing. It's like this is the company that is like, yeah, we can make this work.
Peter, I'll stop you there. Very quickly, Paul, do you want to add anything about I want to give you more time, but we only got.
I told you he tells me what to do.
Paul, you want to add something? You have a minute?
Sure. The impression I've formed so far is that CN doesn't necessarily have a great plan for what they want to do with this line, besides the fact that they don't want to operate it anymore. You know, the infrastructure is worth a lot of money in terms of the steel, but I don't know if they're motivated to necessarily pull up the steel. That could be a reality, but I think it'd be kind of a political headache if they proceeded down that path. The province, I don't know what their thinking is yet, but I'm sure their thinking will be different if they know that people don't want to see this additional connection between the Prince George area and Vancouver lost. You know, and as far as the different First Nations interests, you know, one of Jerry's slides indicates the different First Nations that this particular rail line runs through or nearby. And anytime a major transportation link like this is lost, you know, optionality and even commercial, how would I put it, like commercial favorability gets more constrained. So there's people in the middle of this line and in the Prince George area that would like to be able to go direct or to come back direct from either the ports at Vancouver or even the connection to the US carriers. And I think the accountability with the loss of this route, the accountability becomes that much less. And the Prince George area becomes more of a captive economy that is oriented towards Alberta and secondarily down province. Peter, does that sound fair?
It does sound fair. What I can add to that, in that I just had a meeting.
Guys, make it fast, please.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry. Thank you.
Thanks, Bob.
Trudy, for the letter, so if you can send the wording, exact wording that we need in the letter to Tofik, and then we'll get that done and signed off and sent off to you. And
need to meet with us again. Just give us a call to the email.
Absolutely, I think we should meet with you again.
Anytime.
How many nations do you have so far?
Well, we've talked to. You're the one. You're the only one so far. We got to go back to what? Because we need to meet with everyone.
You can use us. And
I was going to ask.
Well, that's the whole.
Yeah, use this as a reference too.
Yeah, who starts it? Yeah, this is
whoever starts is going to be leading, because that's where it's going to go.
I just want, if we buy this line, we get our own line from Vancouver. Can we have?
Well, let's try it.
Can we bring the caboose back?
Yes, I know.
Yeah, well, I was wondering why they didn't. Like trains don't do that anymore. They should actually have a couple cars on there where people can travel. Like that's
makes short haul. Just
take care. I know.
2 or 3 or whatever, but just want to.
But awesome. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, no, thanks a lot, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time. Appreciate it.
Like.
No.
Yeah. No.
Can I take 30 seconds?
Yeah.
Okay. What I'm going to ask is, I know Lheidli Denny has a whole suite of companies, and
can I just to I should let you know earlier that we broadcast to our community.
Yeah, we're live right now.
It's our whole community.
Okay.
Let's see.
Okay.
Well, that can be for another meeting.
Sure. Okay.
Talk to you later.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks. See you. So,
Thank you.
break for 10 minutes. Great. So whatever needs to go.
Thank you. Yeah, isn't that like important?
Tofik. No smoking. We're not allowed to smoke anymore. We're gonna put a BCR out there. Tofik's not smoking anymore. No one. What? No jibs either. Oh yeah. No vaping. Yeah, no edibles either, Tofik. Yeah. What was that? Things over there.
Wasn't that Nasir?
Yeah.
What?
Nasir was wearing a black jacket. Looked like in our governance training. And he's still alive.
Hunting, Jamie. We need to go hunting. and take a break. It's depending how fast this goes.
Yeah.
I want to go in May and get a buffalo up in there. If you want to come up with this, so, let me know.
Oh yeah, 100%. You got my digits.
Yeah.
Get a hold of me.
Yeah.
You can come here. We can go too.
Pretty cool. You know, I heard about this rail line, about them decommissioning it over a year ago. They've been talking about this for a while.
But I still don't get
Yeah,
that
I feel a little emotional.
it's not in Lheidli territory.
Services Officer.
Momo Frederick, Counselor.
Tofik Islam, Executive Director.
Chitolin Logan.
Krista Gibbs, Council. Tashina Seymour, Council.
Doug Olson, Council.
Clay Boutnick, Council.
Jamie Bird, Council.
Lickett.
I'm from the
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm Brenda Contois, almost a lately member. I'm still waiting for my mail.
Yeah, there's
And the song plan.
Okay, so you are on till 1:45, and when you hear the knock 3 times,
There's going to be warning off 2 minutes and then 2-minute warning knock. Okay,
they'll
great.
give you a 2-minute. Perfect. You have the table.
Okay. Danica, Skyzad, Susie, Monica Contois, Onak, Monica Sedini, Sedes Neki, and the Slew, Brenda Contois, Inta, Statsu, Yvonne Gagnon, Inta, Statsu Cho, Margaret Gagnon, and Lay. They're both in Lay. The last 2 are dead, sorry. And then Spa, Dwayne Casmel in Ta, and Melanie Statsu, Melanie Casmel is the Clayton Tane, Inka Stelatan Waten, Wasti, Saseyu Bolsesta. So chiefs, female chiefs, and children of chiefs. Hello, and hello everyone. My name is Monica Contois, but you can call me Monica. My mom, and then I mentioned my late grandma Yvonne and Margaret, and then my dad Dwayne Casmel, and my late grandma Melanie Casmel. I'm a Clayton member, and I grew up in Stalaco, and I sit with the Frog Clan. So thank you for allowing us to present today. Our presentation is on culture. We've already introduced the team. There's a team member missing. It's Loretta John. I think she's at the Elder Society right now. And we put this in here because I've had to defend my experience a little bit since trying to do this. So family teachings, my dad has grown up in the Batlats. He sat at his grandma's feet in the Batlats Hall, and he got to observe and soak all of that in. And my mom carried on the tradition with the women in her family. We take care of our elders. We have active participation in the Batlats. My dad, myself, my sister were all seated, and then my son was supposed to be seated last year, but we're waiting for the next Caribou Headstone Batlats so we can be seated this year, which will happen. And we regularly go back to community. I participated in 2 this year already, and my dad has participated in 4. Our family has experience hosting Batlats. We've hosted 4 in the last 2 years. 2 have been, one has been a funeral, 2 headstones, and 1 shaming Batlats. Right. Our purpose of this is to bring the past into the present for our future. Our kids depend on this. The Batlats teaches our language, defines our culture, and allows our elders to lead with compassion and understanding, demonstrating the respect demanded in our ceremonies. Our mission basically is to unite our nation through it's creating a culturally grounded space that restores belonging and a sense of community. With a mentoring program, the way we vision it, a mentoring program in place for our elders to become successful leaders in the Batlats and then carry on to mentor our future leaders. I think a big part that we kind of missed in this too, Mom, was the language because, well, we'll get there. This is okay. So a little bit of our history is Lheidli Tane did in 1951. They were banned. I don't know how many people have read Mary John's book.
But in that book, Mary John mentions attending a Batlance in Lheidli today in 1928. I've also had the opportunity to listen to some of the recordings that were done by Barry, Domo, Clifford, and Sunset got the remaining 2. So in 1940s, there had been a 5-clan Batlance held in Shelley, and that was remembered by Clifford when he was telling his memories. The 1956 Batlance hosted in Shelley, to be honest, I can't remember if it was Domo's video or Barry's video. That was Barry's video. So there was more memories about it. In 1993 or 94, our Lheidli elders did hold a Batlance. At the historic gathering, our elders affirmed the nation should not move forward with our treaty process under the Indian Act Council, but rather reestablish and operate through a traditional council. 2019, there was again another Lheidli T'enneh held a practice Batlance. I never attended, so I don't know what happened there. Lheidli T'enneh, at this point, talking with people, all I've gotten back is we're not able to restore our Batlance. And honestly, people have told us since the beginning of time we can't do things, and we all know we can.
Sorry, Brenda, if you do need more information about the one that was hosted in 2019, I helped with that. So we can sit down at another time and I can.
Do you have the documentation?
It was hosted by the family development coordinator at the time, Darcy Dennis. Okay. When he was working as the coordinator, he helped us to put on a practice.
Great.
Yeah.
She might be able to find the documentation.
I would have to look on. It wouldn't have been on my computer. It would have been on.
That would be great.
Tried.
We messaged all of the newspapers and like the news stations to see if they have any recordings. We found one through Splash Media just by cold emailing. So we're searching for that documentation. Well, thank you.
I can look.
Sunset?
Young people and our young people, you talked to them yesterday and today they are gone. That's how short life is for them. So then they're having a good time. They are enjoying their lives, but they're not. This drug and alcohol is getting the best of them. And there's no way we can stop it. We've tried different ways. One thing we can do is get their own language, because our own language means a lot word by word. It is a demand in any language. My great-grandmother said that 33 years ago, Margaret Canyon.
Yeah, we found it, which is really cool. So she said that. Those are her words. And our language, our culture, and our health, how they're all connected. We know there's a problem with drugs and alcohol, I think in probably all Indigenous communities. But research has shown that Indigenous language and the culture it helps people become more whole. I can't pull up articles, but it is true. And I'm just going into my second year of the Decaf language program in Stalaco. We have 60 students and we just finished our first year, and almost every class, someone's like, this is so healing. This is so healing. Like, I feel like I'm part of the community. I feel like I belong here. There's always tears that happen. So it's really touching. So where language lives, culture thrives. One, I think they really need each other to support each other. So language, and this is related to the Batlats. So language is purposeful through speeches. The speeches and names, the speakers leads create space for language to be spoken. Ceremonial language is protected. So when I started, I acknowledged chiefs, the female chiefs. Learning happens through listening and witnessing, reflecting traditional ways of passing on knowledge. And language is tied to identity, strengthening who we are. So we came up with a plan. We broke it down into 3 phases. And we're in phase 1 right now, which is the foundation and knowledge gathering. we went to the north side, south side to drop off flyers. Sunset has reached out to all 400 people on our community page. All we need next is the ban list so we can call people, which is, we'll get to that later too. But the idea here is to get an idea of who holds our knowledge and our language and kind of get a database going. So this is supposed to be Lheidli T'enneh elders. Most of our outreach has been to the elders. And then we did present to the Elder Society on Tuesday, and they did support us in this project. And the way we kind of identify, we see this working is the elders will be kind of like consultants throughout this whole thing. And then we've identified the language department. We touched base with Christine already and how we can collaborate and work together. So I kind of have them going, like we need to all work together to make this happen. So in the first phase, we're identifying the knowledge and language holders. We're documenting and recording everything we do. Language, identify developed materials and inventory developed materials. That one was because there is none, I guess. So we're going to start from fresh here. But Christine is willing to work with us on that, and she seems really excited to do that. Phase 2, because we kind of are there already, the gap analysis on the materials and where we kind of want to go. And this is just based off the conversation we've had with elders so far. But I have a better slide here. Look at you guys' book. I'm not connected.
You want internet?
Yeah.
So you can connect to the LTF and get.
It's also on your guys' thing. That would be the network. Yeah. So that's there we go. So where we are, this is the project team and what we've been doing. So the data collection, identification, consent. We've been keeping a list of everyone, and if they are allowing us to share that information. Right. So another thing that we'll just touch on this really quick. All of the batlats that we've been told have happened, people have been telling us that it's in the CSTC
Just can't. Yeah.
And as for the membership list, we cannot give you the membership list. They have, unless they phone Topic and say, Brenda reached out to me, we're talking, can you please give her my information?
Okay.
So it's a confidentiality thing. So, but there is just, please. We are having a community meeting this Saturday. You're more than welcome to come set up a table and start spreading the word and getting information and contacting forward and stuff like that.
Oh, great.
You're like, we'll do that anyway.
Thanks, Miranda.
Oh, thanks. I'm right behind you. Thanks. Thanks for your presentation. I just was curious if this is different from what SD57 and elders are doing, or is it the same project?